Okay, we're officially live, ladies. So, welcome to a special edition of Talk About It Tuesday. And I'm going to be joined tonight by two of the PWBA's, what I'm going to say, premier players and superstars in their own right. So, joining me is going to be Kerry Smith and Shannon O'Keefe. So, how are we doing tonight, girls?
I'm good.
Great.
Doing great. And the reason I say this is special is we had a quick idea. We talked the other night. We said, hey, we usually do ball reviews and we talk about new releases and stuff, but something more unique right now is the PWBA is back. And the reason I had the girls on is it's kind of a unique setting right now, and thought we'd talk a little bit about kind of the journey for the PWBA to return. And the girls are now sitting in Texas, but it's kind of crazy how they got there and what they had to go through to actually get this kicked off. So I'll try to just speak to you one-on-one. So, I mean, why don't we start off with Shannon? Shannon, obviously, I know you've been itching, chomping at the bit, getting practicing as you can with COVID and everything, but tell us a little bit about kind of what you girls had to go through to even get started to get to Texas.
Well, the PWBA really have to connect them because they really are taking this seriously and our overall health seriously. And they want to make sure that they're doing everything they can to keep us safe. And it's something that I'm truly, truly grateful for. There's bowling tournaments that have really been bowling across this entire country for the most part without any, hesitation and any stoppage. And the PWBA, I'm really, really proud of them and really thankful to them for everything that they've done for us. So everybody, regardless of, maybe underlying health issues, can feel really comfortable coming to compete. But it has been a little bit of a process. So I coach collegiately. So I guess it really started there. I had to have a negative COVID test in order to return to work. And then like 8 days later, I had to have a COVID test. Well, every single one of us that were coming down to compete in these PWBA stops, we had to have a negative COVID test before we even got here. And then upon arrival, Kerry and I landed around the same time, which was so perfect. And so we just Ubered over to the hotel. She's literally right next door, and I haven't seen her outside of like when we were dropping off our spit. We had to do, upon arrival, we had to do another COVID test. This one, I've only had the swab up the nose before, but this was a PCR test that we heard that Major League Baseball uses. It's where you got to fill a vial full of X amount of spit and saliva.
Gross.
It was pretty gross. And then once we had that, the only time we could leave our room is to go downstairs to pick up our food. So, right, like you're out of your room for like 3 minutes to go get your food. We were very excited to hear that every single person who entered the PWBA bubble, less than 24 hours later came back negative. And so they surprised us with a practice session, last night, which was nice. It was good. But anyways, we've just been like hanging out in our rooms, trying to stay as busy as possible. And thankfully, I have Heather Drico, who's given me some, workouts, and I brought some bands and stuff, to move around a little bit. If you guys are following Stephanie Johnson,
I saw it.
We go from the bed to the couch, to the bed to the couch, so we're not moving around too much. So
she seemed to be a good helper when she was helping you with your push-up session. So. And eating a banana and, sweating it out.
I sweat.
I'm always looking out.
Absolutely.
She's already in her llama PJs. I'm a little jealous, but yeah. So honestly, at this point, I think all of us would pretty much do just about anything to be able to have the opportunity to compete. My heart hurts for anybody that wanted to compete, that had unforeseen circumstances happen, whether they got COVID or, as we know, a couple of our international players lost their visa, which is just heartbreaking. I hate that for everybody. Obviously, I'm super competitive and I want to win, but at the end of the day, I really feel like the PWBA over the last couple of years has really become like a safe place for all of us to, get our competitive juices flowing. But I think any one of us, if we were in need of something, somebody, we could pretty much rely on anybody on tour to step in and help us out. And so it really is a cool atmosphere. But I think if they would have said you need to jump rope all the way over to the ITRC and bear crawl back with a monkey on your back holding 17 bowling balls, I think we would have all at least attempted it, so that's
absolutely. And it's, it's crazy. And, obviously it's I'm really glad to see that they took it, they proceeded with maybe even more caution than anybody thought they would. Because I think what they're learning out of this, no matter what is, this could be some type of a norm for a while to allow the season to actually take place. So, there's 38 girls or 37 girls in the field, I think was the final number.
36.
And, 36 girls all testing. I know Kerry was excited, put her little baby meme up there yesterday. Everybody's freaking out, and I was glad to see it because I obviously live with, the other person over here. And I know how much it was in the back of her mind. And she was kind of talking about like, man, what, I hope I don't want to test positive. I've had it in the past. I could still test. So a lot of nerves going into it. So Kerry, tell us a little bit about that because you've had, unfortunately, you've had COVID.
Yeah.
And from there, what did that feel like?
I was so yesterday. So like, I can't even explain to you, like, okay, I had the first test like last Wednesday and I was like, oh gosh, okay. I was on pins and needles and then got the result back the next day and I was like, woohoo. I texted Shannon and she's like, are you negative? And I was like, yep. And
I think I sent her back some sort of like GIF where I was like,
oh, and then I was like, okay, I got like in my mind, I was like, I have to get past these tests and then I can focus on the test. So, I'm like, okay, I'm packed, I'm ready to get out here. I meet Shannon, we get to the hotel, and then it's like dun dun dun.
Yeah. But that you could actually hear that music as you walked in to pick up your test.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you literally, a day, which is an awesome turnaround, and I know they did a lot of work to make sure that those saliva tests came back, quickly because they're on a time schedule. We need people to be, pass the test and be able to start competition for score tomorrow, and allow you to practice today too. I mean, any kind of delay there could have, pushed, the tournament time frame back even further. Which, you're already, what do you got girls out there for all but, a week and a half or 2 weeks, depending on, shows and if you're there for the regional or whatever individuals qualify for. But the other thing I thought was unique was when she started talking to me about, hey, I got to pick all my food out for the week because these girls are legitimately in a bubble. Okay. Yeah. So like they said, they're walking from, you got 2 floors, I think, of a hotel. Yeah. Which is all
PWBA.
Yeah. Third. So that's the rowdy floors, but it's not only the competitors, but it's, the directors, the staff, anybody that's involved in any aspect, even if they live,
yeah, anybody that we may see face to face is in the bubble.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, Shannon's roommate that's there for the week, Steffi, she's in there and she's from Texas, and
she lives like 40 minutes north of here.
Right. Steph could have commuted back, but has to go in the bubble. Tennille is another one, anybody that lives close to there. Yeah. They're all in there with them. So they're doing the same testing. They're picking out the same menu meals. How's the food been so far?
So the food has been really, they did a really good job working with this company. I don't know what company it is, but it's been really good. It's a really great variety. And I know that like once we picked, like we had to pick our meals like 10 days ago, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember what I picked. So every time I go down to get my food, I'm like so excited to see what I'm going to have because I don't remember.
What'd you order? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Thank goodness they've got the list. So like, yeah. Okay, Shannon, you have the chicken. Stephanie, you have the beef. I'm like, okay, whatever. I have no idea.
The nice thing about that is if you don't like your and Steph doesn't like hers, like you could swap. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, that's good. We actually were just talking about, Instacart, or who do we know locally to go get us some like ice cream or something?
Yes, Instacart. When I got here on Sunday, I did an Instacart order got a whole case of water, some fruits and vegetables, and
Yeah.
and everything. And it was awesome because they dropped it off in our little like conference room downstairs.
That's
And
the other thing.
yeah,
Is there's a room just past the hotel front desk, and it's PWBA only, and that's where everything is. So like any Amazon orders, they are put in that room. We've called down to the front desk because we've needed more towels and more toilet paper, and every time they're like, it'll be in the room, and we're like, okay, and we walk right down to our room and we pick it up and we come back to our personal hotel room. And so the staff here has been awesome. I'm sure they have all of our rooms flagged with PWBA because Steffi packed her toothbrush, but we don't know where it went, and so needed a complimentary toothbrush.
It's in the room.
Yeah, it's in the room. And I don't know, I just assumed like we just go to the front desk, but he didn't even ask like anything. He just said, okay, it'll be in the room. So they just know the hotel's doing an amazing job. We're staying at a Hyatt place. It's beautiful. We have a little living room area. And so it really does feel very homey. I don't know how Kerry is sitting in a room all by herself. Good gracious, I'd be so bored.
all I can say is thank God for HGTV.
Yeah. Kerry, we watched the same thing the whole first day.
Yeah.
We were texting each other about how I wanted to be friends with the girl from, what is it, At Home? Whatever.
Hometown, I think.
Yeah, Hometown. Yeah. I'm like, I want to be her friend. She's so cute. And now we've been watching Crisley Knows Best on E! Network for the last day. So, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
you have go ahead, Kerry.
Shannon has Steffi as a roommate, and a couple of other girls are rooming together, but a lot of us opted for rooms by ourselves. So, I mean, for me, it's kind of cool because like I can watch whatever I want on TV.
You can do that at home now. Just be clear out there, everybody. I do not control it. Plus, we have more than one TV. I mean, we are rich.
Like,
we have 2 TVs in this house.
We are rich.
Yeah, I own a bowling center. That means I'm rich.
That's rich. You're rich.
I mean, same situation. Like, you move from the bed in the morning to the couch, and then like a different position on the couch, and then it's like, ooh, it's breakfast time. I get to walk down 3 flights of stairs because let me tell you, nobody taking the elevator that I have seen. We're all taking the steps because
we need to move.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is we get to walk to the ITRC. So like last night when we all went to practice, like, wow, we get to go outside today.
Yeah. Stephanie actually texted Tennille or asked her when she went down to pick up food or something the first day, hey, are we allowed to go outside and walk around? And she says, no, not until you get your second negative test. And we were like, oh, okay. But, I get it. And again, even like that initial thought is, oh, but then it's like, hey, we're doing everything we can to be as safe as we can so we can all compete. And I think we would do anything to be able to do that. So we have to wear our masks the whole time. And we have the really cool part that I really like about it. Actually told Tennille that this is something they need to do at all tour stops, is in the paddock we have our own like box that they taped off with our name on it. And if you don't think that's a big deal, come out to a normal tour stop where stuff is just thrown everywhere, and then when you come in after a block, somebody's taken the spot that you had already been using. It's like so maddening. So for us to have like our own spot, and they were so smart about it. Nobody on either side of me is on my squad.
Right.
They're a squad on either side of me. So again, everyone is spaced out. They just did a really great job with the thought process, and I feel like they didn't leave any stone unturned to make sure that our safety came first.
Well, and at the same point, like that, as far as like, for instance, I drilled a ball for the pattern tomorrow. So I went over, we have scheduled times that we're allowed to go over and like put in and work out the ball, whatever we need to do. And then when you're done, Lysol wipes right there, and you have to wipe down everything that you've used. So I had to make sure that I wiped down, the bottle, like everything that I touched. So it's really cool how they're just taking that all together and like, because they care about everything. And I think it's the other thing that people need is everybody in this bubble, all the athletes have committed to this process. I know I've talked to Jeff about this a lot, and some of the girls were like, "Oh, I'm just not protocols," but 36 of us in this bubble have committed to this. And
Right.
when they talked about, oh, we have to wear a mask the whole time, I was like, I've already committed to everything, and fine, I have to mask, when I throw a shot, but it's not gonna kill me. So
No, it's not. We talked about that earlier today too, and just said, "Oh, whatever. I got to wear a mask. Okay, if I got to wear a mask to compete, that's what I got to do." And
yeah. So
you
wearing
know,
a mask the whole time, for a lot of girls that have been practicing throughout this whole quarantine, I see everybody's, videos that they post and stuff. And a lot of people, have it pulled down on their chin and they're not bowling with it on. But coaching collegiately, when my kids came back to school in August, I have my mask on all the time. And so anytime that I was practicing with them, I never pulled my mask down. It was up all the time and has been throughout this whole process for me. And so for me, I've just gotten so used to bowling with that mask on the whole time that it's really, I don't even really notice it anymore, except when it starts to slip a little bit, I'm pulling it up. But you really do get used to it. It's really not a big deal. Even in like my Monday night leagues, I bowl with Taylor Bailey. All through September, October, November, I wore my mask the whole time. Most people in the league weren't. But for me, being a college coach, I didn't want to be the reason that my program got shut down for 2 weeks. So
right.
I'm going to do whatever I could to protect my program. Now, obviously, it's a virus. You could get it by doing all the things right. You just, but I was going to do my part to make sure that I was doing everything I could to keep my team safe as best as possible. And I think, like Kerry said, we're all committed to this process, and you just figure it out.
Yeah, I think the one thing I learned with bowling with a mask on is that I don't want to be recorded throwing a shot from the front, because I must at some point put my tongue out at times, because I've licked my mask too many times while I'm throwing a shot, and it is a weird feeling.
That's gross.
I mean, I don't know if it's just I never realized they did it. So, yep, that's right. The inside of it, but don't worry, it's what I can wash. So, I spent a little extra money for the Under Armour one, which is very nice. If you don't have one, I'm not plugging for them. I'm not getting paid to plug for Under Armour, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, our school's an Under Armour. I've seen it and I've thought about buying one, but then our men's coach bought one and he was practicing with me a couple weeks ago and he's like, it is too much. It's too much. I don't like it. I wear all Genesis masks. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
They're lightweight. They feel good. They don't bother me. And I showed Stephanie the whole stack that I brought. I brought like 12 of them. I have one for every single day. So
you got to match.
Yeah.
Well, not even that, but just so I have a clean one every day, because I'm really finicky. It totally grosses me out to wear the same mask twice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, without washing it. Now, granted, they gave us soap, so I can wash it in the sink. It's not a big deal, but I came prepared.
Right. And going back to something outside of the mask, but Kerry brought something up which made me chuckle is, she drilled a ball, which Kerry, I know you haven't drilled a ton of balls out there. And when you have, you've had a little bit of help. So Kerry sent me a picture. I was at the shop probably about an hour ago, and she's like, look, basically I glued my grips in. I'm like, what did you do? I mean, there was more glue on the outside of the ball than probably, I don't know if there's any in the holes to hold the grips in.
In the holes. Trust me. I put pressure on it. I have glue all. I didn't even use that.
Oh, you use plenty. I thought she hit like the top of the ball with a bevel knife. It was that like oxidized and white on the top from the glue residue. And I'm like, well, do they have acetone? She's like, no, just wipes. I tried to get the worst of it off. And I'm like, okay, all right.
What was I supposed to do? They had Lysol wipes and acetone, and so I had to use what was there. So,
all right.
It feels matters, right?
Right.
Well, I felt like practice session for me went very well. I felt like I have an extremely well-rounded arsenal. I'm very happy with what I have. And, I'm just really comfortable with, if I'm throwing this specific ball, which direction I can go, either stronger or weaker or, whatever. And just felt really comfortable with it. But I found out that there is a GB3 on the truck. So I asked them if I could just drill it pin down, because the one I brought is pin up. And so I'm drilling that.
So it was the last one. They literally had one stashed in there for you.
They do, and then they have like 5 Rodman pearls. So
Wow. They got some of the relics on there, some of the good stuff still. I mean, those balls have never been used on the PWBA tour. I mean, never. Yeah. So you drilled a GB3, Kerry. What did you end up drilling, and why did you drill it? Obviously after practice session.
So after practice session, I had a really good look on longer pattern. So we're bowling on 39 and 43 feet. So 43 feet will be the second tournament, because it's kind of like 3 different tournaments we're bowling. I didn't have a good progression on 39 feet. I tend to struggle on 39 feet just because I'm more speed down, get forward. But I talked with Eric and Chuck, and I needed a progression after my fugitive solid, but I tried the fugitive solid and it was a little much. But then all I had was like a Web Tour hybrid, so I needed something kind of in between there. So we decided to make a hero solid to kind of fill that gap. So, but
right, and it's
go ahead.
Going out there, you prepare the best you can and do an arsenal, but with not having the patterns beforehand, you find quickly where a hole might be. And, as professional athletes, obviously, again, you're going to do whatever it takes. And if that means you got to drill a ball, while you're out there, these are your tools that you're using. You're not going to go in there and just think you're just going to bowl better than everybody else all the time and make something work. I mean, you add to it. It's the best of the best out there. Everybody's a good player. So, you don't want to be trying to manipulate and make something work, instead of just putting an additional tool that's in there or knowing it's the last of one of your favorite balls of all time. And then you just drill it anyway.
You just drill it. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. We also drilled an Intimidator Pearl.
Okay.
And that was more, honestly, I really feel like that was more Eric, our ball rep, just wanting to be cautious. I don't really feel like I needed it. But I would hate to get to the day of on that 43-foot pattern and not have it. And so the reason we drilled that one was because I brought a redemption solid. I brought like 4 or 5 balls that had never gone down the lane until yesterday's practice. We drilled, brand new fresh covers and whatever. But the redemption solid is one of those, and it's so strong. It was so early that it was forcing my feet left. But if I got it a little right, it wanted to wiggle out down lane. But then if I kept it in front of me, it kind of dove through the face. And so I very quickly was able to eliminate that ball as one that looked good, because it didn't. And so for the ASIMs on the longer pattern, I tried my Proof Hybrid. That looked pretty good. My Black Widow 2.0 is ridiculous. The ball is so good. And then I was able to throw my GB3, my GB2, even my Web Tour hybrid towards the end of the hour and a half of practice on the right lane, which was the 43-foot pattern, looked pretty good. But Eric just wanted to have one more option that, the Intimidators, it's a pretty strong core, and it is a hybrid cover. So I think it's a pearl. So it obviously wants to be a lot cleaner than that redemption solid, but we're just going to put some surface on it. And again, I think, for him, he felt like that was a hole that he saw in my bag. And so whatever, I'm usually out on tour with 12 to 15 balls anyways. So whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had, Eric was on the program last week, him and Chuck, and, they've said before, sometimes they have a gut feeling on something. It makes them feel better as, they're there as support, trying to help, get the ladies or the guys to the winner's circle. And sometimes they just say, hey, I'll pay the drilling fee on this.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is, just a hunch or, something. So we're not saying, man, what if we would have done that, and what ifs don't they don't win, right? You know, you're going to err on the side.
I brought a Web MB as well, but it's a little bit weaker of a core than the Intimidator Pearl that we drilled. And so it's that cleaner ASIM ball, but it's just a stronger one. And that is something I didn't bring. We brought the Proof Hybrid, but it's got that, was it the mica? Is that what the flakes in it? So it really wants to read the lane earlier. So I'm thinking this Intimidator Pearl is going to kind of fall in line after that, but just be a little bit more down lane. I'm excited to see what it does and maybe give me something just a little bit different that I don't have. At the end of the day, you know, a lot of these balls kind of fall right on top of each other. There's not huge separations. And so, again, like you said, I think that's what makes a really great ball rep player combo is when the player trusts the rep and the rep trusts the player, and you can have a conversation and meet in the middle. And that's what we did tonight. And so I feel good about it. And it makes sense to me the way he explained it. A lot of times I just need to know the why. You explain the why to me and, you know, we're good. We're good to go.
All right. And I agree with it. I mean, and that Proof Hybrid is very, very good. And, you know, it's got, you know, when you're saying, you know, with the texture and things on that, but it's also one of those balls that's 500 underneath and then jumps right up to 3,000. So it's, you know, it's a good piece that doesn't lane shine very quickly. It's still got some teeth under there, but it's not early. So,
Right.
I threw it, honestly, I threw that ball quite a bit, at the Players Championship, on the longer pattern on 45 feet. And it was really good.
Yeah.
But Kerry, you had mentioned, you know, you had a pretty good look on the 43-foot pattern. You know, how were you playing the 43-foot pattern? What were you liking?
So solid looked really good. I think that's going to be the ball. My fugitive solid was a little much once they started to break down. It's possible, but you know, tomorrow's a different day. They never really play the same practice day till tomorrow. Like it'll have the same shape, but it'll just play a tad different. But yeah, my outlook solid was like every pair that I went to, and I took notes on every pair. Like on that 43-foot pattern, that was the ball. Like it went through the pin. It allowed me to, you know, kind of stay a little to the right. It's 43 feet, but it's not. There's not a lot of mils of oil. So it does kind of shape on the back part of the pattern. Yep, that was my ball. You know, obviously we tried everything on it, and that was the one that looked the best. Now on 9-foot, I struggled, and that's where I really think that Hero Solid's going to help because I could get the ball there. It was just lazy. It was slow to come off the pattern. No matter where I kind of moved at on the lane, it was just slow. I needed something to go in between the fugitive solid, you know, because once they transition, what am I going to go to? Well, if I only have one ball, I need something to transition.
Right. And I mean, you sent me the patterns, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't even have a chance to look at them. I was kind of busy tonight, but I'm assuming from what you girls are explaining, longer pattern, little lower volume, the 39-foot, little higher in volume. What kind of oil are they using out there? Kegel machines?
It's on my phone. It is Kegel oil, I'm pretty sure, but I think they're using 2 different oils.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fire and ice.
Oh, fire and ice. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know which one is on which pattern. I didn't look that close. You know, I try not to get too wrapped up in that stuff. I think it's important to be aware of it, but I try not to get too wrapped up in that because I think so many people will be like, okay, this is a 43-foot pattern with 22.74 mils, but they're using the ice oil and blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to play here with this type of ball and do this. And I just think that you're like trapping yourself mentally. And that if, like what Kerry said, it does play a little bit different, then you're going to be behind the move, and you cannot afford to be behind moves too long out here. These women are too good. And, you know, you're behind the move a half a game, and that could be the difference between a check or not, making match play or not, or even making a show or not. And so you just got to be very open-minded to the fact that everything that we learned today might not work and you know, come tomorrow, or if it does, we may transition there quicker, it may take longer. You know, you just have to be very open-minded.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about it a ton And I use the term all the time. You need to let your ball tell you what the lane wants, right? The bowling ball, when you throw it down the lane and you're practicing, and I'm talking when we practice for score, when you're warming up, then your ball's going to tell you what the lane wants. And at that point there, you had I use practice days, and I think you probably both do. You get kind of a baseline idea, but you get antiquated with the building. You make sure your footing's, underneath you, depending on where you're moving. You use those, use the charts as just kind of a reference, can give you an idea. But again, everything changed. There's so many anomalies that go on that you can't just go in there and say, yep, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Okay. You can have an idea, but at the end of the day, we can lay it in my center and then we go lay it somewhere else, and it ain't even close.
Right.
And if you're shut off and not wanting to move because you're not supposed to play there, lose. I mean, over the years, we've seen all too often on patterns where we were playing, where the graph would tell you shouldn't be able to play. If you
I can't tell you how many times I've bowled on like a 47 or 48 foot pattern and been able to play right a 5.
Yep.
At the end of the day, the surface of the lane is going to dictate the majority of everything, because that's the surface of the playing field, right? So that's going to be the number one overall factor of what happens. And understanding, like, I'm very familiar with the training center because I used to practice here every single day. From when did they build it? 2009 until 2014, when we moved away. And then Team USA, it's home of Team USA. So I'm very familiar with the lanes, very familiar with the differences between lanes 1 and lane 2. There is a difference, and it would be surprising to you. I know all this stuff. I have it in notes. Years ago with Team USA, they gave us topography mapping of the training center.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all of that. I was prepared. I used my resources that I've had from the past to make sure that I have all the information at my fingertips. But at the end of the day, it's important to have the information and gather it so you can reference it if you need to. Like if you get to like lane 7 and 8 and you're like, man, I think 7 might be a little tighter, I can go to that lane mapping, or I can go to my notes and say, yeah, like this is like a decade of information. It should be a little bit tighter based on this. And you don't have to second guess your moves as much. So it's nice to have that information at my fingertips.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same. You go to Vegas, and we use the example the other night. You go to Vegas and you bowl at the Gold Coast or the Orleans, and which pairs the restaurants are over top of, and how they burn up quicker, and one end of that stuff's great. You don't want to lose track of that. That's why journaling and stuff you're talking about there is huge, because no matter what pattern they put down, the topography is going to come through that at some rate. Okay. And it's going to be, and it depends how you throw the ball too, because Kerry and I talked a little bit this morning, and she was talking, some of the intel they had on the building, kind of what you're talking about. But at the same time, I said, Kerry, just like we just said, you got to also be open-minded, because not everybody rolls the ball the same. Certain portions of that lane may feel that way, or certain ball rolls will see that a lot more than others. So take it all in, but listen to your ball.
Here's the other thing too. So I made the flip. So we moved like every 12 minutes. I started on 5 and 6. I went to 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, then 1 and 2. When I made the flip down to 1 and 2, Eric came down and he's like, hey, how much more did you have 1 and 2 hooking than the high end of the building? I'm like, I didn't. It was the same for me. He's like, that's so bizarre. Like this morning they had it like 4 or 5 different. And I'm like, well, yeah, but like, do you know who started there and how strong of equipment they used? And, like that all matters. And so, you just never know. Like Kerry said it perfectly. You can gather as much information as possible, but you just have to know they're going to be different. They're going to be a little different, if not drastically different by the time that we get there tomorrow, because they're going to be stripped and rerun twice before we get to the lanes again. And the other thing in practice session is a lot of women don't shoot at all of their spares in practice session. Mm-hmm. So that in itself is going to make the back end of the pattern feel just a little bit tighter when you're competing, because more spares are being shot at and that ball is carrying the oil down the lane. So, there's a lot of factors in play. But it's just, you just learn all that stuff through experience and surrounding yourself with people that can educate you on that. And, you eventually learn it. And you're still going to make mistakes. And, I still miss information and miss moves, and ball changes all the time. It happens.
Yeah, because of the invisible stuff that's on the lane. I mean, you can't, and the way they break it down and who you're following. And I talked to Kerry over the weekend, and I had a pretty good start to a block. The first block out there at the Players Championship on 4 patterns, I bowled pretty well, and we bowled in Bear in the afternoon, and felt I had a pretty good understanding. And it's crazy to compete instead of being in the back watching, because when I'm in the back watching, I can see every move way, a lot earlier. Okay. And I'm not the one that has to physically go up and execute what I think I'm seeing.
Right.
Well, when you're in the moment, and like you girls are in the moment, that's why the communication between a coach or somebody or those extra eyes, what you're talking about, is so critical, because that kind of intel helps so much more. Because, man, I would have loved to have some reps at our event, because I did my best to look 2 and 3 pairs ahead who were following, but man, I was crossing with Machuga, and we got to the 3rd pair, and we're both like, all right, who started here? And it was 2-hander, 2-hander, 2-hander. And he threw the first shot. He was the lucky guy that was going first that round. And he hit the left side of the 2-pin, or the left side of the 2-pin running away. And we're like, oh my God. You're like, neither one of us are, expecting anything like that. So it's crazy. But as you're saying, and where I'm going with this, Shannon, is you don't see that, in the practice session when less spare balls are going down. You also don't, in practice, individuals are playing different parts of the lane more often. They're going through a lot more equipment. Yeah. When the lights come on and they're kind of into the rhythm of where they're going to play, now that part of the lane is getting a little more beat up than maybe it did, in a practice session where people are kind of fishing around, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I slid as far right on the 39-foot pattern tonight. Like 14, and my eyes were at like 4 or 5. Just trying to see if what that looks like. And
right,
for me, it didn't look great. I made like a 3 and 3 left, and then it was better for me. And then I was able to just kind of chase it from there. I even tried to play a little bit further right to start, just to see on the 43-foot pattern, because you just never know. And so you're right. I think there's more people kind of playing all over the place and throwing a lot of different bowling balls. I think I threw just about everything just to see it down the lane. And once, everyone kind of gets in the groove of things, it's just different.
Right. I have also decided that I am going to bowl the women's tour from now on, because I want to get away from, you girls are smart and don't use urethane on every single pattern. So
what's your thing?
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't.
So
grilled one.
That's the only thing I'm allergic to.
I'm allergic to health food. Obviously, I just, that's that banana you ate earlier, Steph. You keep that, you got to keep that away. I can't do it. Yeah. No, but it's just, again, it's going off what we're talking. It's crazy. These guys, I mean, they use urethane on everything. Yeah. They were throwing urethane on 48 feet, and the lefties were peeling it off 5. And I'm like, crazy, because it changes the lane so quickly and blows it apart. And honestly, I watch women bowl a lot more than I watch guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like somebody, anybody.
Yeah, Bueller. Yeah, I feel the same. But I'm excited. It's just gonna be fun to compete. Regardless, it's just gonna be fun to compete. So
right. And since you're saying that anyway, and I said I was going to keep this short, and again, I just start talking in 40 minutes. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But you girls are obviously, they're going to start bowling for score. What's that, Kerry?
I said it's not like we're going in there.
I understand, but I'm respectful to the girls that are competing here, and I'm glad the feed for the most part held up, because the girls were saying, because there's so many of them stuck in the rooms, they are sucking the Wi-Fi out of Texas, and so it chops up a little bit. So, but I don't know. You probably, between all of the girls that are all 36 of you, will probably successfully see every site on the internet by the end of a week and a half. So if you come across anything really good, send it my way so I know what I need to look into.
That's great.
But I guess, at the end of it, you're in the bubble. You're going to do what it takes. You're going to start bowling for score tomorrow. And I think the exciting part is, I only have 2 of the girls in there, and Steffi, I'm not we're not excluding you here. So there's 3 girls that can hear this. And I'm pretty confident that one of the 3 girls that are on this feed right now that can hear are going to be crowned a champion. I really think that, I'm confident. I know how, these girls prepare. I know what, they've gone through leading up to even going into the bubble and trying to practice and navigate through everything that's going on. And they're hungry, and it's time to eat. I shouldn't say that though, because I can get up and go over here and get something to eat, but you got to wait for your meal in the morning, right?
Yeah, unless we Uber eat some ice cream.
Yeah, I could hop on a flight. I'll deliver.
Yeah.
But sorry, it cut off there a little bit. But honestly, I think it's amazing. I'm so glad to see you girls are, you're there, you're getting ready to compete. And I think another exciting thing is that from my understanding, Bowl TV for the qualifying rounds is going to be free. But both of these girls do have a code if you want to subscribe to Bowl TV, because I believe once the finals hits.
We don't have a code to use yet. That's not going to be active until April.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Bowl TV is free for qualifying rounds and match rounds. If you want to watch the show, that's when you need a subscription. So it's going to be that way the whole week. So it will be free, just not for the show portion.
Okay. I mean, that's good. I'm definitely going to be following along, watching it. Can't wait to see everybody back on the lanes and compete. And hopefully we can do a session, sometime next week, and we'll be on talking to one of the champions, because I love to talk to them first in the program and locking that stuff in there. But, I want to thank you, both of you for coming on here. Of
course.
I'm excited, and let's do it. Let's win a title.
Let's win them all.
Yeah.
We should win them all. And now we're excluding Steffi because we want to see one of those girls with the hammer logos on win. Sorry, Steffi.
She has her hammer logo on her sports bra. It's fine.
Fair enough. Her llama's name is Hammer, actually. So
exactly. We blew her in. But
all right, girls. Well,
I'm sure we'll chat with you later this week.
Yeah, it's if you get bored, you know where to look out to, and give us a call. But action starts tomorrow. Everybody tune in, support these girls, support the PWBA, get a subscription to Bowl TV so you don't miss any of the action. Once you get to see them, you don't want to watch them all day tomorrow and see them make a show and then not be able to watch it. So make sure you get your subscription in there.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Well, Kerry's on A squad. I'm on B squad. I think, Kerry, you start at 10, and I think I start at 4. So
correct. Yeah. So 10 o'clock my time. We're an hour behind everybody because we're in the Central. So everybody that's on the East Coast, that will be 11:05 your time. Yep.
All right.
Awesome. Again, girls, good luck. I'll be watching every step of the way. I'm right there with you. We may be in different states, but we're all pulling for you. So keep us posted. Enjoy the moment, and let's raise a title.
All right. See ya.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.